All right, let's talk about something that's at the absolute core of how businesses run, but something you might not think about every day. We're going to look at how companies decide who gets the keys to the kingdom. We're taking a journey from that server humming away in an office closet all the way to the global cloud, tracing the line from Active Directory to Microsoft's Entra ID. So, to kick things off, let's start with a puzzle. Picture this. You've got a company with 1,000 employees, each with their own computer. How in the world do you make sure that every single person can log in, get to the right files, use the right printer, and most importantly, is kept out of everything they're not supposed to see? That right there is the fundamental problem of managing identity when you're working at any kind of scale. So here's our game plan. We'll start by digging into that core gatekeeper problem. Then we'll meet the classic solution, the king of the castle, Active Directory. After that, we'll look at its modern successor, Entra ID. We'll put them side by side to see what's different, talk about how they actually live together in the real world, and then wrap up with what this all means for you and your digital identity. Okay, first up, the digital gatekeeper problem. You really can think of it like this. Who gets the keys to the digital castle, and how do you manage all of them? You see, every single company has to have a trustworthy way to handle who gets into what. It's all about creating one single source of truth for who you are and what you're allowed to do. Because without that, you just have chaos. There's no security, no control, and frankly, it's a mess. This is exactly the problem that these big identity and access management systems were built to solve. And for a very, very long time, we're talking over 20 years, the undisputed king for solving this problem was a piece of technology called Active Directory. Introduced way back with Windows 2000 Server, Active Directory, or just AD, became the absolute backbone of corporate networks. Now, the most important word here is on-premise. This system literally lives on physical servers, these boxes called domain controllers, that are sitting inside a company's building, running the show for all the users and computers inside that office network. And this image? This is the perfect snapshot of that on-premise world. This Server Manager dashboard is the command center. An IT admin would be sitting right here, managing every little detail from this central server. It was basically the brain of the local network, handling every login and enforcing all the rules. Now, let's talk about AD's real superpower, something called group policy. Think of it like a giant digital rulebook for the entire company. With group policy, admins could control everything, from how complex your password had to be to what software you were even allowed to install on your machine. It was all managed from one place and pushed out to every single computer. It was incredibly powerful. But of course, being the king comes at a price. Keeping an Active Directory environment happy and healthy is a serious full-time job. You have to be constantly checking that all your different servers are in sync, that your DNS is working right, and that all your security policies are patched and up to date. It is an amazing tool, but it is not set it and forget it. It needs a lot of hands-on care. And all of that brings us to the next chapter in our story, Entra ID. This is the new gatekeeper, one designed for a world where the office walls have pretty much disappeared. You see, the whole reason we needed something new is because the way we work fundamentally changed. Remote work just exploded. Companies started adopting cloud services like Microsoft 365, and all our essential tools, from Salesforce to Zoom, moved online. All of a sudden, trying to manage your identity from a server in the basement just didn't make any sense when your people and your apps were scattered all over the globe. And that's where Microsoft Entra ID comes in. Now, you might actually know this by its old name, Azure Active Directory. But here's the key thing to understand. This is not just Active Directory hosted in the cloud. It's a totally different beast. It's what we call an identity as a service platform. Microsoft manages all the hardware and infrastructure for you, and it was built from the ground up for the modern world of cloud apps. So what really sets Entra ID apart? Well, it's all the modern tools that are just built right in. Things like multi-factor authentication, which is huge for security, or single sign-on, so you can log in one time and get into all your different cloud apps. And then there are these really powerful conditional access policies, which can do things like block a login if it's coming from a weird location. Okay, so we've met the two main players. Now let's put them side by side and do a quick, rapid-fire comparison. When you look at it this way, the differences really pop. AD is on-premise. You own and manage the physical servers. Entra ID is in the cloud. Microsoft handles all of that for you. AD uses older authentication protocols like Kerberos, which were perfect for an internal office network. Entra, on the other hand, uses modern web-based protocols like OAuth and SAML that are designed for cloud apps. And when it comes to managing devices, AD has group policy, while Entra uses newer tools like Intune. Now,
Let's talk about security for a second, because this is a huge deal. If you wanted to add something modern like multi-factor authentication to your old school AD, you usually had to buy and bolt on some other company's product. With Entra ID, it's just there, built right in. Same story for advanced features like conditional access or AI-powered identity protection that can spot a risky login automatically. These are just things that were born in the cloud.
So the big question is Active Directory dead? Is it over? Well, not at all, actually. And that brings us to the reality for most companies today, which is living in a hybrid world. I really love this quote from Patri.com because it just hits the nail on the head. Did Intra ID replace Active Directory? The answer is no. They're two different things that are actually designed to work together. Most big companies today synchronize their on-premise AD with Intra ID, giving them the best of both worlds. So why keep that old king around? Well, there are three really big reasons. First, that super detailed granular control you get with group policy is still the best way to really lock down Windows computers. Second, a lot of older but still critical business apps were built to only speak the language of AD. And third, if your office's internet connection goes down, AD can still log people in locally. That's a huge deal for some businesses. All right, let's wrap this all up by looking at the big picture here. What is the future of your identity? So, if there is one single thing to take away from this whole shift, from on-premise to the cloud, it's this. Security isn't about protecting a building anymore. It's not about the office network. In today's world of remote work and cloud apps, the new security perimeter is you. It's your user account. It's your digital identity. And protecting that identity is now the single most important job in cybersecurity. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this world of cloud everything and work from anywhere, are we finally seeing the end of the on-premises server? Or will there always be a need for that physical box whirring away in the office? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.